There is no reason on earth that Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Credibility has been lost.
If you didn't vote for Belichick, put your name to it. Show us why.
I don't understand it. I mean, I was with him every day. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, there's really no coach that should ever be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
You can't tell the NFL story without Bill Belichick.
If you look at the definition of a first ballot Hall of Famer, Bill Belichick should be the one.
I think this tarnishes everything in the Hall of Fame, all of the inductees, everybody in the Hall of Fame, just because of 10 or 11 or 12 ignorant, jealous who did not vote for him.
Nobody should want to show up to the Hall of Fame if Bill Belichick can't be in there as a first ballot.
All right, lots of passionate reaction to the news that Belichick will not be first ballot Hall of Famer, of course. So in the uproar that followed this, the Pro Football Hall of Fame released this statement in part. It said, quote, "The Pro Football Hall of Fame understands and respects the passionate reaction of many fans, media members, and enshrinees of the hall itself in light of published reports regarding the voting results for the class of 2026. It goes on to say, quote, "If it is determined that any member violated the selection process bylaws, they understand action will be taken. That could include the possibility that such selector would not remain a member of the committee going forward." Mina Kimes now joins us here on First Take. Mina, should the Hall of Fame recast their vote and maybe include Bill Belichick this time?
No, I don't think so. I agree with literally every person on earth, apparently, except for the people in the Hall of Fame, that this was a mistake. And it is a mistake that they're going to have to wear forever, quite frankly, because you can't just say, whoopsies, we're going to take it back because of the result here. I don't think that is the right way to rectify this. What should happen, and what I think the Hall of Fame has to seriously consider, is changing the process that got them to this place. There's a couple of things I think that can happen. Number one, Dan and I are AP voters. Our MVP votes are public every year, as well as the other NFL awards. I think the Hall of Fame should seriously consider adopting a similar transparency, because you're less likely to have silly results like this, I think, if people know that their votes are going to be out there. And then the other thing, the actual process that resulted in this, I think some of it has to do with changes that they've made to how these votes are tabulated. As I understand, for enshrinees or nominees, in a category like Belichick's, the seniors, the coaches, it used to be an up and down vote, and they would have to get an 80% mark. And if 80% of the people voted Bill Belichick yes, then it would get in. But at some point they changed it, and I think this contributed to this result where, Ryan, it was 3 of 5. And as I understand it, and I think one of the voters in Kansas City actually explained this, some of them thought, oh, Bill Belichick's a lock. I'm going to spend my vote on 3 guys who I want to get in, thus accidentally canceling out Bill Belichick. I do think that's also part of how we got there. That, to me, is something they should seriously consider changing moving forward, because it can create bad results and embarrassing results like the one we have here today.
I would say redo the vote. I've been outspoken about it. And I mean, I'm going to ask you this, and I'm not asking to be a jerk, because I have that tendency to do it. But honestly, why not? What would be the justifiable reason to not redo it?
To not redo a Hall of Fame vote? Because to me, like, they have to wear this mistake, Dan. I mean, ultimately, if they were to change their votes, it would invalidate them completely as voters. It would be an admission, not just that they made a mistake, but that the process that got them there was wrong. It would throw the whole thing, to me, all of the voters' credibility, which we can argue is already up for question.
Well,
so anytime there's a bad vote, like anytime there's a mistake, I'm not saying, I don't agree with this. I just think we can't, every time there's a criticism of vote, say, hey, guys, you get a redo. That's just not how this works.
The thing that I would say is, one, their credibility in a lot of people's words, in their eyes, has already been taken a shot. Two, you don't agree with it. No one's agreed with it. No one agrees with it. Everyone has been outspoken about the new voting process. Here's the opportunity to fix it then. If you say they have to wear this, well, so does Bill Belichick. And whether you like him or not, whether you agree with some of the things that he went about business-wise, so does he. And so that's not necessarily fair to his accomplishment.
No, he's going to get into the Hall of Fame, and in 20 years, nobody is going to care. I'm sorry, I'll throw that out there. That it wasn't this year, that it was the next year.
I don't know. about that. For
If
a guy,
anything, by the
I
way,
will say
this has resuscitated Bill Belichick's reputation because everybody's remembered, oh my God, he's the greatest coach in NFL history.
I don't think anybody ever forgot that Bill was the greatest coach in NFL history. And after getting an opportunity to work with him for a year, no one cares about the NFL and its history the way that Bill Belichick does. The way that he would look at players who played during the black and white times, and the way that he would go into the vault at NFL Films and watch the reels of all these old players and want to bring those things to the public eye so they can remember who this coach was, who this player was. It does matter to him. And I do believe him not being in this year does affect him. And it's not for the reason of how great of a coach he was, and that's why it's wrong. Now, I believe that they should recast it, and I believe that recasting the vote is wearing it, but I don't think that Bill Belichick should wear it. And I'm gonna be honest, the only reason I would have any pause to not recast it is we all should have been this loud with T.O. And Dan was talking about when you have conversations about players where it's like yes or no, and that's every Hall of Fame vote. I don't believe that is. I believe that Terrell Owens should have been in the Hall of Fame as a first ballot Hall of Famer. I believe that Terrell Owens is one of the top 2, if not top 3 wide receivers that's ever played this game. Every time you walked into a stadium that he was in, you had to be worried about him. The man played on a broken leg in the Super Bowl and was the best player on the field. And we should have been that loud then, and that was our fault. And obviously now with Bill Belichick, we are making this statement. But my only reason I could say if they came out and said, we didn't do this at another time that we should have, so we can't do it now, I would have to accept that.
That's fair.
Well, a couple of things. Number one, I was loud, very loud about T.O. And I don't think anybody would accuse me of not being loud. I think that's the safest bet in America. Nobody would accuse me of not being loud. All right, so let's get that out the way. That's number one. Number two, recasting the vote. Recasting the vote. Mina, the reason I disagree with you is because, again, you know, it would smear the Hall of Fame to some degree, would show that, you know what, yes, you made an error and you caved in the pressure. Well, damn it, they need to be humbled. They need to be checked. This is egregious, and it's a violation of everything that the Hall of Fame is supposed to be about. You know, so to my point is that if you're doing something that flagrantly against what you're supposed to be doing, personal feelings, personal animus, frustrations against this guy, you to get to ignore an 8-time champion as a first ballot Hall of Famer, to me, the Hall of Fame doesn't even need to exist if you could be able to do something like that. And I'm mindful and cognizant of what primetime Deion Sanders said years ago, and I know you know this, RC, when he alluded to how, you know what, it's a bit too many people getting into the Hall of Fame. You understand? This is supposed to be a privileged institution. You know, I mean, some people that's in here don't deserve. I mean, there's a certain class, first ballot, and then there's everybody else. But some people don't deserve that kind of shine. And he alluded to that years ago. No one would ever say that about Bill Belichick. We know that eventually he's going in. But the hell with eventually. An 8-time champion shouldn't have the word eventual associated with his name when it comes to recognition as a Hall of Famer. That is egregious. And I'm just saying, you could say that. You could say that, Mina. And, yeah, people 20 years from now are not going to remember. But Bill Belichick will. Those who know him will. Those who played for him will.
Sure.
And guess
People
what?
10 years from
They don't. And I'm shocked. And I'm shocked, Mina, that you didn't bring this up. If they could do this to Bill Belichick, are you going? Are you going to be of that mindset if they do it to Tom Brady? Because he was there.
But
he was there for Spygate. He was there for the
This is why my argument is not for the Hall of Fame to go, oopsie, we screwed up. Let's just, you know, the public is really mad at us. They're on a witch hunt. Oh, my goodness, we screwed up. My vote is for them to change the process so this doesn't happen in the future to a Tom Brady or to anyone else, so that petty grievances don't get in the way, so that, we got to pick 3 out of 5, which, by the way, I think was somewhat of a consequence of the Deion saying too many people were getting in. My point is there needs to be structural change to the Hall of Fame, the way this is conducted, the transparency of the process. That, to me, is the Hall of Fame wearing the shame of this mistake, which I think we all agree it was.
Okay, so then what is worse for Belichick? If they were to change the rules and now put him in on a revote, or if they were going to make him not, which is what's going to happen right now as we see it this way, not a first ballot Hall of Famer? What is worse?
If you change the rule, it's worse for him.
Okay.
Just because he respects the NFL, its history, and what the Hall of Fame is.
Hold on. But you just said you would recast.
We're talking about from his perspective, from the man I got to know.
Okay.
I don't know if he would want the whole process changed for him. It's gonna. You can't. You can't take back the feeling he feels right now. Putting him in, recasting the vote, saying, "Hey man, we're admitting that we made a mistake." That's not gonna take these 2 or 3 days away from him, or however that for. Somebody like him that earned it, and you know this, when you miss out on stuff that you earned, nothing changes you like the feeling when they tell you you're not good enough.
No doubt.
The feeling when they tell you it's not yours. And so for him to then say, oh, you're in, it's not going to change that you told me I wasn't. And so